Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here live at PlayStation Experience in lovely Anaheim, California. Really fun time here. Big show this weekend. Tons to see and do on the show floor. Big panels coming up. But I've been looking forward to this next segment for some time. So this is, well, it's Highwire Interactive. I mean, what you guys need no introduction. We've got, I mean, you guys are incredible. You guys have been working, some industry legends here. And you guys have been working on Golem.
We have, yeah.
That's right. Not Gollum.
No.
Not Gollum.
Oh. No.
Golem.
No, in fact, so we announced at PSX 2015.
Yes, you did.
And within hours, the Lord of the Rings guys reached out and said, "This isn't Gollum like our Gollum."
Yeah.
No, please, no. It's
important to clarify that, because it's we need to be clear about these things. But I think we haven't heard from Golem in a while. You guys have been hard at work getting the game polished up.
Yeah.
How is development coming? Where are we at?
It's going well. It's going well. I think with a small studio and a small game, you can overexpose a little bit. So we announced the game, people were excited about it, and then we just put our heads down and kept working on it. But now that we're getting closer to being done, we're starting to
I'm excited. And I think we're going to get a new look at some footage here, which I'm excited to see. Now, this is a game with an interesting concept, so maybe it's worth just kind of reintroducing and just setting up kind of this universe and what players are going to do in it.
Sure, yeah. So in Golem, you play as Twine, who is a young kid who gets into some trouble and actually gets pretty seriously injured. And so, as you can see in our demo, you actually start off in bed and you're messed up, like you can't walk anymore. And so she discovers that she can kind of send forth her thoughts and take over these giant stone golems called or stone creatures called golems, and use those to explore the world.
So we're seeing a little bit of this footage right now. What are we seeing?
Yeah, so this is actually right after the accident that where you get injured, and your father, whose name is Scratch, is in the room and is kind of explaining to you, how he found you and what happened. You've been unconscious for a while.
So. This is a game, it kind of sounds like it's set almost in two different worlds in a way.
Yeah.
It's set in sort of the real world, with you as the girl, and then it's also set in this world of being a golem.
Yeah.
We actually said she's a girl.
Well, we try not to...
Gender
not
child.
specific.
The sisters, your older sisters.
Okay, got it.
You could be whatever.
I always think of Twine as a girl, but in reality, in VR, that's you, right?
Yeah.
So we don't do anything that's kind of break that suspense.
Yeah, it's like that empty vessel approach, the Gordon Freeman approach, the kind of like just don't go there and kind of just dump yourself into the vessel, right?
Well, Jamie, something I love, like we were talking about before we came out here, is, especially in VR, but so much video games, we use video games to explore other worlds and try out other characters and try out other, environments. And so it seems really natural inspiration to take that and put it into a VR world.
Yeah, when we first started on Golem, it was right at the very beginning of when VR was coming about, and what we really loved about VR was how it just immersed you in this other place. And we started to play around with how can we allow the character in the game to experience the exact same thing that the player's experiencing. So in the game, she actually puts a scarf over her eyes, and that's just like the player putting on the headset.
And it's blue.
And it's blue.
Very nice.
Perfect.
And she has kind of a crystal-encrusted rock that she looks into to control the golem, just like the Move controller that we use.
You're just building that brand right into the game. I love it.
Exactly.
Proportions. Is
Our marketing guy is going to be happy. But yeah, so tell me a little bit now. We're sort of exploring the world here.
Yeah, so Twine has just got her Dreamstone. That's her in the...
That's you moving.
And you can see it kind of, it matches your movement, but her first steps into controlling these golems, she actually figures out she can control a doll. So you're maybe 6 inches tall and you're walking around in your room, and objects that would be no obstacle to a 14-year-old all of a sudden become huge mountains to climb.
That's cool. Now tell me where you landed on the controls here, because I remember playing a sequence similar to this a couple years ago on an earlier build of the game, and it involved sort of leaning forward a little bit with the PlayStation VR headset on. So tell me where you landed.
Yeah, sure. So we appreciate that VR lets you feel like you're in another place. And a lot of games do a really good job of setting that up, and then you're moving your thumbs, right? Or you're...
Not that there's anything wrong.
Thumbs are great. Look, they're indispensable digits. We can all agree with that.
And so as soon as you get into that mode, you
Yeah.
just kind of sit back and you're not moving your head around, and
Yeah.
you don't really feel like you're there anymore.
Uh-huh.
And so we spent a lot of time looking into how people move, right? And if you are standing up and you want to take a step forward, the first thing you do is actually you lean your head forward slightly. So in the game, you pull a trigger to let the game know you're ready to move. You move forward slightly, and your character starts smoothly walking.
That's cool, yeah.
And it's very intuitive. So we had the demo on the floor. Yeah, so dolls are
You
also
have a bug
susceptible
phobia.
to,
You might not
bug
like
attacks.
that.
Interesting.
We have the demo on the floor, and
Oh, it's playable here at PlayStation
it is,
Experience.
absolutely.
yeah.
Awesome.
We've got 2 stations running, and
People played it all day. They seem to really enjoy it.
That's great. That's great.
And one thing I'm going to jump in here is
Please.
pulling the trigger,
Yeah.
move. That was something I didn't really tell Jamie that I needed it, but like I always enjoyed being able to lean to move, but then every once in a while I just wanted to not move anymore and just look around and
Yep.
just sort of get my bearings again. So he says, all right, I'll let you just have a trigger to pull, and you don't lean to move until you pull the trigger. So you can just decide, I'm just going to stand here and look around. And then when you pull the trigger, it's time to start leaning and moving.
and everybody liked it so much we just made it the default.
That's great. And I love, Jamie, I love you because you have just such an experienced hand with mechanics, you know.
Yeah.
You're Mr. 30 Seconds of Fun. You've worked on some classic games. And I got to break away from that, though, and remark on what we're seeing here, because this is like a great look at Golem. So tell me what we're seeing.
Yeah, so this is much later in the game. This is after you get your big fella golem. You start exploring this very large city. It's kind of an open world city, so there's lots of different directions to go, lots of nooks and crannies to explore. But you run into these guys, the Silent Watch, these enemy golems that are going to try to stop you from what you're doing. So this is actually the training. So you see the kind of blue crystal sword that shows up. That's indicating to you like where you need to put your hands to block. We found a lot of people when they first started, they're playing it like a regular couch game, right? And they're just kind of going like this. And if you want to block a sword that's coming in, you have to get your hand way up here.
Above your skull.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
so we really, we had to try a lot of things to get people to play the game as if it was real.
Yeah, and what I love about it is that for the first time in a game, any game I've played, the sword control is absolutely one-to-one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're not pushing button combos
Yeah.
to get cool swirly things.
That's
you
fun
actually,
too,
like, I
but-
have to
Yeah.
put my sword above my head to protect myself.
And
And
you
you
have a lot of-
almost feel like you almost feel the impact of the
Yeah.
hitting you. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, Jamie, I mean, you just have this background with mechanics, and that's why I've been so eager to see this game, because I know that you've had such a huge mark on the FPS genre. You were involved with Infamous Second Son.
Yeah.
You've been involved with a lot of great games over the years.
Thank you.
So tell me what you've been learning about VR as you make Golem.
Oh boy, I mean
That's a big topic.
yeah. How long
much
we
time
got
do
You got
here?
30 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that we learned is that you have to simplify and you have to strip down and you have to have kind of a very core, clear experience. Like, I've worked on games where there's an entire city and the world is at risk and everything is exploding, and in VR that's just kind of overwhelming and doesn't work.
It's like noise almost.
We had a whole
Exactly.
galaxy at one point.
Yeah.
didn't we? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, Marty and I have threatened the galaxy so often that we decided for Golem we're going to bring it down. You know, it's going to be a small family. It's going to be one main character. Like there are stakes, but it's not. The world is going to end. And in VR that just works so well because you're making eye contact with your father.
By the
and
way,
you're-
this is no longer the tutorial. So
Yeah.
This guy, he doesn't tell you where to put the sword
Oh,
anymore.
boy.
You
Yeah.
gotta like work.
And you guys have a really small team working on this, right?
Yeah.
is about a dozen guys.
Wow.
Up in Seattle.
Depending on the week.
Now tell me, Marty, I mean, you're obviously known for just incredible, you know, musical talent, composition. You have your reputation precedes you here. Tell me a little bit about how you're coming at the soundtrack here for Golem.
Well, it was really fun. I mean, Jamie got a hold of me right away after I found myself free again, and said, "Hey, let's do something that's just, you know, a small team and it has a intimate feel to it. And why don't you go ahead and do a prequel soundtrack to this?" And I'm like, "Okay, that sounds great."
Awesome.
So we did a Kickstarter, and the music is really based on this whole philosophy of a more intimate story, a more personal story. So I was able to sort of pare things down. It's not a bunch of bombastic brass and drums. It's a sort of chamber orchestra with harp and piano and woodwinds. It's really a lot of fun for me to write that way. And then the other fun thing is, now that we only have such a small team, in terms of fulfilling the Kickstarter, that was me. So just a few weeks ago, I was packaging up vinyl albums and sticking labels on them and everything else.
It's good to stay busy.
It is. I got to do
busy,
something.
You know? Exactly.
Your guys' debut game coming out of Highwire.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
And that's a huge deal.
Yeah, and
Well,
just
no
shipping,
pressure,
shipping
right?
is, you know, it's really important not to just start a company, but ship a product. So we're really looking forward to shipping this.
Yeah.
So what's the feedback been from folks who've been playing this thing?
Really good, really good. Yeah, I mean, this is the first large-scale playtest that we've gotten to do. So I admit I was a little bit nervous coming in, and it's I think it's a very intuitive control scheme, but it's also like we have these instruction cards for like how to play the game, and it's like pull the trigger and then you'll figure it out. It'll be fine. Like there's no way to explain it, and so I was a little bit nervous, but we haven't had any problems. Everybody's been going through it, and it's so effortless that, like every good control scheme, it just sort of dissolves away.
Yeah.
You're not have to think about it anymore. You're just in the world and you're in the action.
Now taking a look at the game where it is now and comparing it to where you were, you know, 2 years or so ago when like PlayStation VR hadn't even launched yet.
Yeah.
Like where's your head at there? I mean, it seems like it's maybe shifted a bit since then.
Yeah, you know, we did a pretty good job of planning initially and scoping initially, but it's totally uncharted territory.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
I mean,
you think something's going to work, and then you try it, and then it doesn't. And you have to adapt and work your way through. So I think story-wise and kind of with this large-scale city environment that you're exploring, that hasn't changed as much, and it's good because it took us almost 2 years to build the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, the mechanically and especially the VR stuff, as you know, I think we've kind of.
And the thing I really enjoyed is we had this what seemed like a very, you know, simple story, and it would be simple just to, like, it wouldn't be hard to write and to produce. But producing cinematics in VR is an entirely different thing.
Totally.
And we just learned as we went, and we had some great performance capture work done by Mocap Now in Seattle, and some really good actors who were super willing to just experiment with us.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of things that might not seem spectacular, but to me, I know how spectacular they are. Like making you feel like you're in a wagon that's being drawn by a horse that's moving, and two actors who are with you in it, and they're talking back and forth, and you can just look at anything you want to look at. It's like, yeah, you do that. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
And but we don't want the player to feel like it's anything other than just totally natural, and this is what it should be. And so, but it is really amazing when you have characters that look at you as they're talking, and then as you can do this kind of thing, and they just follow you. They look, their eyes track your eyes, and you don't realize it, but that's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once again, it's so intimate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, giant space battles are not needed to make you feel like something's happening. Pretty cool. So we'll see. I mean, I'm having a blast.
Outstanding. Okay, well, thank you for the fresh new look at Golem. Do we know when this one's coming out?
Yeah, we're excited to tell you that it's coming out on March 13th.
Oh, you have a date and everything.
Yes.
That's an announcement.
Yeah.
You are announcing
an announcement.
March 13th.
Yeah.
We are
coming to PlayStation VR.
Planting a flag.
I love it.
Nobody's getting tattoos.
Okay, tattoos, yeah.
But,
What? Peter told me he was getting a tattoo.
Thank you so much for the new look at Golem.
PlayStation